lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the pit complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Through the mist and among the trees, a track winds among the Ardennes Mountains. Having once stretched an astonishing 15 kilometers long, Spa-Francorchamps was forced to meet modern safety standards and was shortened to a mere 7 kilometers. Despite the shorter length, it retained its fast pace and challenging nature. And of course, one of the main features of the track never changed: the unpredictable and often gloomy weather that keeps drivers on their toes. Though it won't be switching between rainy and dry weather today, the overcast lighting feels fitting as we get ready to watch the Belgian Grand Prix, Round 11 of the Pacific Majors. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight, as always, is Bill Soup Zahn. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Bill, Spa sees a lot of use here on iRacing. It's popular not just in real life, but here in the virtual world. Tell us some of the stats about this place.
Yeah, and folks, thanks, Joe. You heard Joe talk about it. This place was designed in 1920. It was originally laid out on public roads. And like Joe said, it used to be really big. But unlike so many racetracks that have had to change because of modern safety concerns, somehow Spa's been able to conform while still retaining its spa-ness, for the lack of a better word. The modern layout we're racing on today has been around since 2007. Now, there's no such thing as a perfect racetrack, but for me, these 19 turns on these 7 kilometers, man, and that rise and fall up and down in elevation is about as close as you can get. And today's drivers need to do 44 times around this place. Now, even the curse of chicanes, which so often plague many other racetracks, none more than Spa's sister track over at Zolder. But here, it's almost a blessing. The perfectly placed bus stop that provides passing opportunities both on approach and exit. Man, it's so exciting. Now, no matter your choice of weapon, whether it be the underpowered MX-5 or the fastest car on the planet, Spa is never a disappointment. But talk is cheap, and if pictures are worth 1,000 words, imagine what a video lap around could buy. So let's get rich and take a recorded lap around Spa.
All right, we've got Jason Fleischle in the GSRC McLaren, so let's do a lap around Spa. Coming down to La Source, this is an excellent place to pass, but on lap 1, it can all go wrong very quickly, so be careful on your first time through. The exit of this hairpin is critical to the lap because it's a long run to Lacombe. However, Eau Rouge won't be flat out. Just a hair of a lift in the middle of the corner, and then coming off, be ready to mash the DRS button if you're close enough to the car ahead. Climbing up the Kimmel Straight, here's where you'll see a majority of the passes made. As I said, DRS can help you, but nothing replaces a full head of steam to help you blow by your opponent. Although, keep your head up if you're side-by-side heading into Lacombe. Drivers are sometimes able to defend from the outside, so don't just plow into that second apex like you own it. Now we're coming to Rivage, which is a 180-degree right-hander. It'll be tougher than you'd expect slowing up for this bend because of the dip downhill on entry. You're not given much time to switch sides, and then you've got to nail no-name corner. As we come up to Pouhon, you really don't want to be too wide into this double apexer. The paved runoff takes a bit of the terror out of it, but too much curb on the inside of the first apex can still badly upset the car. The bottom of the hill is easily flat out, and then you get a small rest before Fagnes. A properly set up car can gobble up lots of curb on this chicane, so pre-race prep will make a big difference here. After that is Stavelot, which is nearly as important as La Source because once again, you're dumped onto a long stretch where your foot is flat to the floor. That means expect the slipstream to offer some opportunities. But this is another place where it gets hairy when you start battling side by side. Blanchimont is flat out, but only just barely, so you could see a game of chicken or two. Then comes the bus stop, which is your last good place for an overtake, and the scene of plenty of desperate dives. Stay off the big sausage curbs here because the car won't like it. From out of the final chicane, the DRS is there to use if you're close enough, and if you kept it clean, you've now finished a lap around Spa. There's one of those picturesque laps here around Spa, despite, of course, the overcast conditions. Now, in the booth with us, we have one of the riding shotgun drivers, Adam Young, with us. Also, hailing from Texas, and as most of our American viewers should be aware, there's obviously a bit of a weather problem happening down there, putting it lightly. And Adam, In full seriousness, though, this is obviously a major concern for a number of drivers that are directly affected. Can you tell us a little bit of what's going on down there in Texas?
Yeah, of course, major flooding going on in Houston, and actually here lately it's been the major weather story across the world. At least I had to say it on the morning news around here this morning. It really is. I mean, catastrophic, and I don't use the word catastrophic lightly. I think I've used it maybe twice in my career, and that's what's going on in Houston right now. And we've got a number of drivers that are in our series that are being affected by that here tonight. Some of my own teammates, some of the other drivers in Texas. I know that Clark Archer is one of the guys. He's put in over 400 laps in preparation to get ready for this race, and well, he's not going to be able to race because the tornado warnings have been keeping him up constantly. Landfalling tropical systems always have tornadoes, and so that's been rough. Blake is out there. Blake hasn't slept well since Friday with everything. The good news, though, is that most of our property, that the guys down there have been has been okay. The biggest impact I've heard so far, at least in the riding shotgun team, is Mike Taylor, one of our guys, who also will not be here tonight because of the storm. He had to go rescue his RV, which, I mean, if you have an RV, he wanted to go pull it out of the water, and he had a little bit of there and a little bit of water in his truck getting out there. But so far, everybody's homes are safe, which is a big thing.
Very thankful for that. We also understand that William Fletcher, who races in the series, has had to evacuate his house. We wish him and his family the best.
William has his has actually a different personal issue. So he's actually in Washington State.
Yeah. Pardon me there.
Yeah, you're fine. But still, even then, our thoughts are with William because he's kind of going through a little bit of a rough patch himself. So we just want to throw our best wishes out to him also.
Absolutely, and that's not the only problems that we've been experiencing here in the sim racing world. It's a very tight-knit community. I understand that you and your teammates are going to be doing something special for the family of Patrick Taylor and I believe Tony Lamberti, who's another Texas driver.
Well, yeah, with Patrick Taylor, of course, if you watch GSRC broadcasts, he's a big Lionheart guy. And a big admin in the Lionheart Series, driver of the year in their series last year. He passed away unexpectedly a few weeks ago, and so we decided to go ahead and put his logo that the Lionheart guys made on our car. I'm happy to see some other Pack Majors guys are out here running the logo on their cars as well. And of course, Tony Lamberti. Tony went through a stroke. He, big Lotus 79 guy, big in our Texas community. Thankfully, he's away from the storm too. I'll throw that out there. He's up in the Dallas area, so we've been racing for him a couple times this season with this stuff on the car, and I just wanted to make an announcement that for every lap that myself and Blake complete here for tonight, we're going to donate $1 to both, not splitting it up, but both Patrick Taylor's family, the fund that's going on that the Lionheart guys are doing, and also to the medical fund that Tony Lamberti has going on too. So we'll hopefully be able to get 88 laps done here for tonight between the two of us.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much for you and your team being willing to put together that effort to help both of them out. And we wish you and your guys the best of luck tonight and hope to see a complete race for you.
All right. Thanks, Joe. You guys have a good one. Have a good call in the booth.
That was Adam Young starting here in the Pro Split tonight for round 11 of the Pacific Majors Belgian Grand Prix. Bill, let's get back to the racing, though, that we expect to be happening. First of all, the racing that has happened. There's the Points Championship. What's the Mario Andretti Drivers' Cup look like?
Last week we talked about, from all the seasons that we covered on GSRC, it's the first time that we ever saw Little Train Lionel Callisto on the top of the charts. He didn't have a great race last time out, but thanks to the magic of drop races, he was able to hang on to the lead. The second and third place driver swap position, those are those two Grizzly guys that Grizzly Motorsports have come and really taken this series by storm, no pun intended after what Adam just said. But Trevor Borowski up in front there, Joshua Hallen-Wolf in third position, Brian Barnes holds station in fourth, and then Brian Bennett, and then Brian Barnes up a spot onto the overlay. Let's go ahead and look at the Constructors Champions. This is the team's Alliance Racing, having a strong performance with Fleischle, Callisto, Bennett involved in that one. But look, only 40 markers back, able to pick up some. Elite West coming in there. Lovelady has a win earlier this season. Richie Hearn, always competitive as well. Then we talked about Grizzly Motorsports. That's the trio of Hallen-Wolf, Varun Borowski, and Travis Henderson. Mountain West Motorsports down there, and Alliance Evolution rounding out the overlay, only 1 point separating fourth from fifth. In the sportsman's division, this is for the guys with that lower I rating. Trevor Clement is in the lead there by 109 points comfortably, racing for the West Club and Alliance Evolution. Mark Herzog, D. Palmer back there in second and third, rounding out the overlay, Aaron Stowe and Stephen Paulison. And finally, we get to the drivers that are over 50, and look at that. Brian Bennett, age is no factor for him as he is out in front, but only by 10 points over the other Brian. Of course, that's Barnes. Bennett racing for Alliance Racing, Barnes for Mountain West Motorsports. Wayne Hutchinson and Bob Beltrami swap positions for third and fourth, very close there. And then the bottom in fifth is Rob. Joe?
Those are the multiple championships that they have in the series. Try to keep drivers engaged, give them something to fight for across various modes. Now, this is the first time that this series has come to Spa in the F1 car. Pacific Majors have raced here multiple times, but usually in GT cars. I believe this is only the second time they've run the McLaren F1 car into this series, the McLaren MP430 that they're running in today. But Bill, one of the things that comes with Spa is that you can rack up incidents easily. Now, they have an incident limit, but it's working a little bit different than usual.
Okay, it is. Now, what did they say the incident was? I forgot, since it's not on the chart. They set it at 27. Is that
27? Correct.
That's right. But as so can often happen here, if you're a series manager, they've actually forgot to plug it in. So instead of just wiping it clean, they're going to use the honor system. When you get to 27 incidents, which we'll talk about if that can happen, what you need to do is pull off. Your race is over. You're just not going to blink away into the Rod Serling Twilight Zone. You'll actually have to pull it off into the pits. So are they going to get to 27? Oh, yeah, plenty of places to pick up incidents here, because you can actually pick them up and be a little faster, I think, around here. You can cheat a little bit. So a lot of drivers will almost use it as a push to pass. And then it's so easy to pick them up with 44 laps. Well, Joe, you do the math. 27 incidents, 44 laps. You got to have some clean laps in there somewhere, right?
Absolutely. And you can get multiple incidents per lap. So there's no saying that even if you do have clean laps in there, lots of clean laps in there, that you can't rack them up pretty easily. As we watch Emile Carpentier come around with his engine cover that we've been enjoying a lot. For those not familiar with Formula One, I believe it was Suzuka last year that happened. That famous GP2 engine clip occurred. So go and watch that race if you can track it down and enjoy Fernando Alonso expressing his dissatisfaction with the Honda engine in that McLaren. About a minute 30 left to go before we get to the green flag. Going to be a standing.
Oh, check. There we go. Did we lose Joe? I wasn't sure if we lost Joe or me. Standing, what Joe was going to talk about, we're going to have a standing start, but don't worry, the tires are going to be warm. So I think they're going to be able to get down through the... Now, I'm going to remember here, they start on the other side of La Source here, so we don't have to worry about getting into that first hairpin. They are going to use the...
They actually do start
no.
La Source.
Do they really? Okay, Joe's back. I'm glad you're here for that then. Well, Joe, let's talk about pit lane there real quickly. It's the short version. They're going to exit right after the hairpin. They don't have to go all the way down to almost a rouge there before they come out.
They do, but we've seen both in real life and in the virtual world, this pit entrance can be tricky. Drivers often are caught out right here where Hearn is and entering in. You see he has to come off to the right of the track, but if you're battling side by side where someone tries to pass you suddenly, you might have to try and cross over them to get into the pit lane, and that has caused confusion. And then on top of it, pit lane requires a bit of a strange entry where you have to maximize it because there's a turn in there. And you can hit the wall if you take it too hard. But your favorite, Bill, is the McDonald's drive-through.
Yeah, you get the little stop in there where you order from the clown, but then you don't actually pick up your food. You leave before you get to the pickup window because you're out early. All right, it looks like, there's no qualifying, but it looks like they're ready to grid, so maybe we can get to the grid. We've got to hustle through because it's a standing start.
We're waiting for that grid to flash up here for us. And on the pole, it's going to be Blake Reynolds. No surprise there with how hot streak he's been on. Trevor Clement starting in second, with Jason Fleischle in third. Josh Wolf will start the race on the outside of row 2 and fourth, with Brian Bennett in fifth. Richie Hearn starts sixth today, followed by Paul Slavonic starting row 4 in seventh. In eighth, it's Brandon Chappelle, followed by Travis Henderson in ninth, and then the top 10 is rounded out by Michael Thompson.
Row 6 has Lionel Littletrain Callisto, your point leader, inside of Michael Cornett. Trevor Broom-Borowski and Brian Grandin make up the next two spots. 15th goes to Claude Bivol, Wayne Hutchinson outside of him. Cody Welker in 17th, and it's Brandon Trossel in 18th. And then back there in row 10, Adam Young and David Werner. Joe?
Bart Workman starts 21st with Bob Beltrami 22nd, Emile Carpentier, and 23rd with Mark Herzog 24th. Then in 25th, it's Matthew Thundhorst, Ray Partridge, Brian Barnes, Rob Gall, and David Baker round out your 29-car field. As the engines start to rev, green flag is out. What kind of start are we going to see here? A number of cars looking a little slow, including fourth place Jason Fleischle, as they come down to the hairpin, known for getting a few pile-ups. And I think Fleischle gets turned around. No, it's Bennett. A few cars coming to a halt. Others scattering off to the runoff to try and avoid the carnage. Most everybody else managing to get through.
I can just report it was Bennett got in, Paul Slavonic got into him. That's what started it.
Trevor Clement looked like he might have cut the course at Eau Rouge. I'll have to keep an eye. He's not slowing down. So looks like he may have gotten away with that one. He's running in second just behind our leader Reynolds. Pole sitter got away clean. Joshua Wolf giving chase in third. He managed to overtake Fleischle, who takes a look to the inside but comes back to the line.
New viewers, if you're watching, no full course yellows here today, all local yellows.
So it's a sprint all the way to the end. And Fleischle, unfortunately, running into some problems, getting on the gas a little bit too soon. Out of no name, turns himself around, manages to get the car back on track and going, but he's slipping down the order all the way, what's looking like maybe 26th.
Was running in fourth, the time of the spin, right behind Joshua Wolf.
Let's watch the replay here. Oof. It looks like he got into the AstroTurf and maybe lost his grip. Let's look at the start now, though. It was Brian Bennett who got turned around, and you said you saw who clipped him?
I think I remember it was Paul Slavonic, if I don't want to misinform, but it's been so long ago. And then you see them all bunch up there.
That was indeed Paul Slavonic. You saw that black and red machine who lost a lot of time himself, and everybody just scattering to try and avoid what was going on. We're going to watch it from on board Paul's view.
Joe, I know we're in the heat of the race right now, but is this where Formula One starts in real life? I thought they started on the other. I didn't realize that.
I don't think they've started on the downhill since the 70s, Bill.
Oh, okay. Dated myself there.
Brian Grandin in a bit of a side-by-side battle here with Trevor Vavrovsky. Vavrovsky is the one who wins that game of chicken into Eau Rouge. Not really a side-by-side corner in this machinery. And somehow Josh Wolf has lost third to Richie Hearn when we weren't looking. Now, DRS, I believe, is in effect after this lap.
And he got him just going down into Lacombe, so Hearn was able to run him down, outbroke him.
Nicely done. As Josh Wolf has been a bit of a controversial figure in this series lately. Last round raised the ire of a few drivers at Watkins Glen in the Gen 6 Cup car. Probably hoping to get himself a nice clean race out here today. And fourth, this is looking like some potential good results if he can hold on to this.
Yeah, well, if you name your team Grizzly, you're going to come in and you're going to make a... They really haven't been able... There's not been a dancing bear. They've been kind of clumsy so far for the Grizzly Motorsports.
Upset a few campsites along the way.
Yeah.
Brandon Trossel in a battle as well, just overtaking Claude Belval as they come up to Blanchimont. They get line astern before they get in through that fast left-hand kink. Whoa, way off the course though, and Cody Welker has no place to go to try and overtake, has to lift to keep from getting into the gearbox of Belval. Oh, and a car spins in front of him. That was Trevor Vavrovsky, I believe, who gets tipped back forward. Everybody slipping to the side to try and find a way around him, but he doesn't lose position somehow.
That was Brian Grandin who did a nice job of straightening him out in the yellow car.
Everybody somehow stays in the order I think they were in.
And Grandin seems to be, well, watch him now as he's down the straight. That's probably where it's going to cost him. It's really T-boned into Bobrovsky.
Oh, some definite damage on the front of him. Cody Welker looking at 3 wide as they split around him. Welker now has to worry about Brendan Trossel to the inside as they break for Lacombe. Trossel seems to have the line, and he does it clean. Beautiful job. 2 for 1.
They won't stop for fuel just like Formula One, but they will probably come in once or twice, 2 stops for tires.
This is really causing a train to check up behind these guys. Slavonic is there, Belval, Beltrami, and then Hutchison and Warner not too far behind as well.
And Welker's struggling, won't be long until he's to the back of the pack.
As Beltrami manages to overtake into Puhan. Side-by-side action ahead of them. Slavonic trying to hold off Belval through Fanyes. Manages to defend successfully.
Best battle out there right now. Up front is stretched out a little bit.
Reynolds currently leading by about 2.7 seconds as he comes through the bus stop one more time. Clement has to watch out. Richie Hearn is on a tear. Already has closed in on the back of him.
Yeah, he's left Wolf behind, and now here comes Hearn looking for second.
Hearn started in the 6th position, up in the podium, already threatening for that 2nd position. Whatever he did to get this car set up for the race, it is working beautifully.
Probably feeling a little more comfortable in these cars than in the stock cars that they've been in recently.
Of course, Richie Hearn raced in IndyCar in real life, and Formula One a little bit different, lot lighter car as he gets a run coming up around the outside. That looked like a little bit of DRS help. A little bit of DRS help. Apologies if I'm having connection issues here. Doesn't manage to make the pass on him, though.
Man, that DRS really is something down that straight.
Saves you a lot of time. If you're not familiar with DRS and you don't watch Formula One, it is the drag reduction system. Cars that can get within a second of the car ahead. Doesn't matter if they're a lap down, a lap ahead, or where. They are allowed to push a button, and it opens up a slot in the wing, reduces the downforce, and they can get a little bit more top speed.
It's fun while you're behind somebody, but of course once you make the pass, Hearn won't have that advantage anymore. It'll go back the other way.
Exactly. So we ride on board with 4th place Josh Wolf in the popcorn position behind this fight. Looked like Hearn got a little bit hurt by that, has fallen back. Now one of the question marks that we have, Bill, is these tires. In the real world, when this car raced, the tires that they're using were known for wearing out quickly if you ran in the wake of someone. Wondering if that's what they're experiencing a bit here and needing to kind of take care of them, not be on a charge behind the car ahead too much.
Yeah, that's I think that Hearns would like to get this taken care of. If not, then stop doing it. He can't afford to keep attacking and not have it work.
Ooh, locked him up a little bit down into La Source. I wasn't sure if that was Hearn or Clement, though. Couldn't tell from the angle that I was watching, but I did see a big puff of smoke between one of the two of them.
Those guys have started to distance themselves. Brandon Chappell's really going to have to hustle. He's back there in 5th, ahead of Michael Thompson in 6th.
A little bit farther back, let's go to 16th. Brian Bennett, remember, he was turned around on lap 1, turn 1, already on the back of David Warner, trying to make up the time he lost. And look at that, already up to 15th now.
Bennett qualified 5th. Next on his hit list would be Wayne Hutchison. That might be fun to stay on this one because he's coming.
Making good ground.
Yeah.
As they come around Rivage down into No Name. Just staying about the same distance apart here. Hard to follow. Closely behind the car head. Though these cars don't have as much downforce as F1 cars this year, still quite a bit. Cody Welker having a number of offs here through Puhan. He's holding up Beltrami just ahead of the two that we were watching a moment ago.
Yeah, if I can read my notes, I think Welker might have some damage. I think he's probably waiting till he can get into the window where he doesn't have to come in too early here.
We're expecting a one-stop strategy from most drivers, although some are toying with the idea of potentially two.
If there were two, you'd want to break it up into 3 equal stints. What would that be, about 17, 18 laps, something like that?
Don't ask me to do math on it. Oh, we got a car spinning. That's Mark Herzog coming around through the bus stop. I was just watching that battle myself before our director turned to it. He gets it looped back around, but not before losing positions. That sends him down to 23rd. Let's watch on board the Alliance Evolution driver.
He was real close to getting into the back of Matthew Thunhorst there, and I think that might have broke his rhythm through the first part of the chicane, and then he had nothing for the next part.
There's a lot of talk about these hybrid V6 engines. I know some fans are disappointed, but they impress me, Bill. And we've seen multiple times as Herzog actually has another spin, and I think his race is over now, and he gets hit by David Baker as well on top of it. Let's check out that replay. And this was coming up and over Eau Rouge. Car got light, and even with all the downforce that you could want, you can see it's plowed into again
and
as
then
he bounces across the track.
And Baker making evasive action. I think he bounced it in the wall as well. I think he might be having trouble.
Watch it on board. The independent driver of Baker. You can see just hard to react to how quickly you come up upon other cars. But as I was saying, Bill, before the incident, what we've seen already is as a few drivers attempt to get on the power, and with the hybrid power of these engines, the electric power apparently, from what I understand, equates to basically the entire engine of a small sedan. Now, that's not a little bit of power. So
looking there at who that's Cody Welker.
Yeah. Having problems. Not on that replay. That was coming out of Stavolo. We've come back live, and Welker is able to continue. Now, Bill, they do get a spare car, and what does the free repair mean when we talk about the free repair, if anybody takes that?
Well, that means if your car's damaged, they don't have to fix it. You come on in and it's magic. It's like I Dream of Genie, a little blink blink, and you get yourself a new one. But you don't want to burn those up too early. Hopefully you want to save that until you actually need it. Callisto is notorious for doing that. He'll race a damaged car for 3/4 of the race, and then as long as he can stay in the hunt, then he gets a new one at the very end, and he's good to go.
And in this case, though, I don't think you'll want to run it too long. Damage on these cars tends to slow you easily.
Oh, I don't think the bad... Oh, look at this.
Ray Partridge with the problem. What part of the track is this, though? Looks like out of Malmedy. Coming around the right-hander of Malmedy, and just loses control once again. And he got hit by someone. I'm going to go check to see who that was.
No, I think it was Workman got through clean, I think.
Mitchell Cornett, potentially? It was extremely close. There we saw the replay one more time. I think the damage on his car may have already been there, that front wing looking slightly bent up.
Just to follow up on your fast repair talk there, to put a period on our thought, unfortunately you don't get to wipe away your incident points, and I think Welker, that could be Welker's biggest problem after you spin the car 2 or 3 times.
Absolutely. We've seen a few cars spin a number of times, racking up those incidents.
Hey, how about we're going to go to P3 here in a minute. We're looking here at
Josh Wolf with DRS open, looking to the inside, down into Lacombe, but he's got that extra speed. He does manage to brake successfully, doesn't overshoot it, and finally overtakes Richie Hearn, who had
got him earlier.
Yeah. It was a long time coming, but Josh Wolf moving up onto the podium. It's not over yet, because look at Hearn hold on to the back of that gearbox. Henderson having some problems. He was high up the order, too. See what happened here. Looks like another incident in Malmedy. This time a little bit of the opposite problem. So sliding to the inside, that car just, wow. It was almost like he was on ice there.
Boy, yeah, he fought that for the whole section through. Only lost, let's see, he loses one, maybe two positions only. Lost the place to Slavonic and to Trossel.
Of course, the famous birds here in the Ardennes forest, very active today.
Clearly Henderson fans.
A little bit upset by that. We switched to Claude Belval down in 11th, just behind Henderson. Henderson did not hit anything, so shouldn't have really had any damage. Although Belval is starting to gain. As they come up to Blanchimont. We understand in qualifying trim that's just barely flat out. So with these cars full of fuel, again, they cannot take fuel in the pit stop, so they have to start with what they need for the entire race, which is very heavy. It means to me that they're going to be lifting quite a bit early on through that corner.
That was one of the points they wanted to make clear is could they start with a light load and then get a little bit as they came in for tires each time? That's not going to happen. And that's really not a safety concern. That's more of just a cost thing that Formula One doesn't want to pay for. And
exactly.
have to carry that fuel all around the world.
The safety is a bonus, though.
Yeah, well, $1 million cars, they should be able to put fuel in it without it catching on fire.
Well, it's being able to put fuel in it quickly
I
is
guess
the trick, yeah. Ryan Bennett now hounding Belval, though Bennett on his way through the field. And apparently, Bill, there's a few curious viewers knowing what kind of birds we have in the forest out here today.
In the booth behind it, we have a Goffin. It's a kind of medium-sized cockatool. That's very rare for Belgium.
For Belgium, yes.
Yeah.
As we ride on board with Bennett. Now, I'm trying to see. Bennett did get turned around, but I'm not sure if he got too much damage. I'm trying to take a close look at that car and figure out if he's dealing with much. Obviously, it's not hurting his pace too badly. Already looking to crack into the top 10 soon. Something we haven't talked a whole lot about either is the teams out here today. A number of them, we did mention the riding shotgun guys, a little bit down on manpower. But Bennett, of course, for the the Alliance Racing team, rather. One of the powerhouses in this series. As wow, look at the launch off of the bus stop. Up around the outside of Belval. He's going to have to brake deep. Or maybe Belval just lets him through. Oh! Belval nearly getting into the back of Bennett after that. And then Warner having to take evasive action to try and avoid Claude.
Now I think Claude's got his rhythm back here. He should be okay. But watch this as the DRS is going to come into play now.
Belval probably thankful he didn't look like a Claude there and stayed out of the other cars, but coming up behind, Warner with the run. DRS slot open, tries to break for the corner, manages to find the apex. It's always my worry, Bill, is you're coming up with so much more speed with that DRS open.
Yeah, something you can't actually practice because you're never going that fast by yourself.
Now, if you do have someone to practice with, you could have them ahead of you to give you the DRS in practice, I believe. Actually, I believe you can use the DRS.
Oh, it's open it up in practice, okay.
Oh, so apparently we understand that you can open it up at any point in practice. You don't need the car ahead of you. So, you do need the DRSs. Okay, correction to my correction. Anyways, we are getting to about a quarter of the way into this race. One more lap. And we're exactly 1/4 in as Reynolds is going to break the timing line.
Okay, Brandon Trossel fans, hold your breath because I do not want to jinx him, but how about our hard charger here right now? Up 10 spots, running in 8th position right now, all by himself. Well, maybe not, as Slavonic starting to close in on him.
Slavonic actually trying to climb back up, and who is that spinning? That's Trevor Vavrovsky. Oh, and he backs it up into the tires on top of it. Another car spinning with him. That's Claude Belval, and he's going to have to take evasive action to get around him. We'll watch here on the replay once it gets to that moment. But here comes Vavrovsky, the Grizzly Motorsports driver. Loops it around, has to wait patiently, decides to back it up. Pulls it a little bit too far, wasn't looking in his rearview mirrors. And then there's Belval, and he has to weave out of the way just to get around the stopped car.
I gotta check the sights on the commentator's curse rifle there. It kind of missed. Came close. So Vavrovsky falls back to 15th. Go ahead, Joe.
I think that's not the first time we've seen Vavrovsky have a problem either. I'm wondering if some of these Grizzly Motorsports guys aren't taking to the F1 car like they have the machinery such as the Daytona prototype, which they're fairly good at, and of course their home territory, the Gen 6.
Of course, my partner Sean Crackers Ambrose and I covered the Grizzly guys a lot in the old defunct We Stand United League, the WSU, that we covered every Sunday night, that followed the NASCAR series to the letter. That was a long season, but these guys have come over and they've adapted into whatever they're racing. Probably, like Joe said, though, probably not as comfortable in this machine, although they were pretty good in the Dolaris.
Well, I've honestly been very impressed with the Grizzly Motorsports guys. We thought... Oh, and Richie Hearn.
Richie Hearn in the bus stop. Didn't hit anything.
Driver error, it looks like. We're going to see on the replay. Breaking down into the corner. Maybe got on the power too quickly? Or maybe just a little bit too much curve.
Yeah, a little too much curve on the right sides there.
He's able to continue. Lost a position, though. Went from 4th to 5th. Still on replay here, and it looks like Trossel had an issue. We also have David Warner turned around and getting back on track currently. Let's see what happened. Oh, very similar problem. Almost cookie cutter. Trossel getting it turned around. David Warner is back going again, but not before losing a lot of spots, and he is down in 18th of that number 333 car.
Yeah, the exact same spot, just coming out of the bus stop.
Sounds like we are going to pull this one up.
You can see Trossel spinning in the back there. What a good job of keeping that car stationary until it cleared out, though. He could have brought that back in front of everybody, and he waited. Nice job.
Everybody has seemed very aware of trying to wait for traffic, let cars through.
It is against every sinew in your body wants to go, and you just have to wait.
And I'll tell you what, I think a few drivers are taking the approach that Adam Young was telling me about before the race here today. He told me that his goal was just to be smooth and not be fast necessarily. He just wants to get to the end of this thing thinking attrition will help him.
Well, yeah, you figure that you lose, 10 seconds, 15 seconds every time you spin. You know, that's how fast you need to go. That's a second every lap, so... Not only that, it's a little easier on their tires, the guys who are going to one-stop it.
Clement, unfortunately, had a problem out of 2nd place. That moves him down to 3rd. This was in La Source.
First time we've seen that there. Wolf gets by him.
We're seeing just how difficult it is with your right foot in these cars. Look at that. Just around she goes. There's the cliche that they say on the F1 broadcast bill of these are the greatest drivers in the world racing. And I feel like we're seeing that today. We've got great drivers out here, and even some of the best in this series are struggling as Paul Slavonic is around as well.
Yeah, if this was your first taste of the pack majors, really not what we're used to seeing here.
Such a tough car to master. And for those not familiar with the Pacific Majors, you have to understand this series races a different car practically every week, switching around trying to prove who is the greatest, most versatile driver in the series. And that's why we say these guys are not experts in these cars.
And one of the reasons that the series organizers, Mike Willett, demands that they put in the practice time. If you don't put in the time to get things right, you don't get to race here. There's a minimum time you have to put in. One driver who doesn't seem to have much problem is Blake Reynolds right now. up by 10 seconds.
Just doesn't seem like any car really phases him, no matter what he slips into. He is strong.
And his biggest obstacle is the real-world schedule. He has used up all of his drop races now. That's why you didn't see him at the top of the standings.
Now, we have a car in pit lane, and Matthew Thunhorst got tipped around by someone a little bit ago, but we also had someone protesting over the radio, complaining to the stewards. I didn't quite catch who it was, unfortunately. You see Thunhorst in his pit stall, and actually out of the car, so his race may be done. Still have 25 cars on the lead lap, and a total of 27 still running out of the 29 that started. Not too bad.
Just to go ahead and do my math, if you divide 44 laps by 3, you end up with something like 15, not 18, as I was saying. So we'd be looking for a stop, let's see, 44, somewhere around 29 maybe, if you're going to break it up into 3 even spots. Right about now, actually.
David Warner might be our first taker coming in. He hits his pit stall cleanly. I believe this is a scheduled stop, and yes, indeed. New tires on, cars off the jacks. And let's see how he does coming out of the pit, though. This is tricky coming out of here. Can't just mash the power down. Nice and smooth away for that classic McLaren scheme on that car.
And you have to change your driving style compared to, depending on what strategy you're using. If you're a one-stopper, you got to nurse those tires. You can't be quite aggressive. Maybe if you know you're going to stop twice, you can go out there and burn them up a little more.
Driver that doesn't seem to be afraid to be a little hard on his tires, at least, is Blake Reynolds, with a 12-second lead over Josh Wolf at the moment. And Richie, once again, finding he does not like the modern version of the bus stop.
That's the same spot again.
And in the exact same manner. Of course, he could have been a little bit unsighted because his teammate Brandon Chappelle locked him up into that corner. He was about to lap him. Oh, no, that was for position, actually.
So Hearn drops back. He loses another spot to, this time he's going to lose it to Michael Thompson.
Yeah, when you started talking about Richie being used to these cars, and Slavonic with another problem. Well, that was a replay. Must have missed that one, but that was coming out of Stavolo.
My memory of Richie Hearns is he came in during the burgeoning years of the IRL, so they were mostly, I'm not sure how much even road course time Richie had in the Indy cars.
And I've got some confirmation it was, in fact, Matthew Thunhorst who was complaining to the stewards. Not getting any word from the stewards yet, however, unfortunately, in regards to his protest. Paul Slavonic has come into his stall. I think this may be scheduled. Behind him, Thunhorst is finally exiting after repairing his car from his damage. Slavonic now coming out.
He's going to file out behind Werner, who's still the leaders of all the cars who pitted once. If we take Jason Fleischle out, who I think had an earlier stop, he's going to have to come in. Stop early for repairs.
I'd be curious to hear from drivers after this one which they feel is more difficult on the schedule, driving the F1 car or the V8 supercar, because both are notoriously tough. We're seeing a lot of mistakes out here today.
And if they give him a tough car, they didn't really put him on a piece of cake track either. Spa will get you. I love Spa. I just think it's great.
Certainly a very legendary track. Beautiful track as well. Definitely on my bucket list to go visit if I can get across the pond one of these days. So we watch Fleischle, who had problems early on as well. Remember, he spun on lap 1 coming out of No Name. Ooh, just struggling to get the power down out of La Source. He was fast in qualifying, put it into third, but unfortunately his race pace seems to be struggling. Sitting in 14th at the moment, and dealing with what looks like an ill-handling car.
All right, let's pay a little love to the driver in 12th position. He is our new hard charger, up 11 spots. Emile Carpentier. Racing all by himself back there.
Newcomer here to the Pro
23rd,
Sport.
yeah.
Hailing from Canada, one of the new clubs here in the Pacific Majors. Speaking of which, if you're just joining us, this is round 11, the Belgian Grand Prix of the Pacific Majors, live on the Global Sim Racing channel.
Just to illustrate how successful this series is, they have 2 splits. There's an AM split going on right now. They take the top drivers, put them over here, the guys who aren't fast enough during the practice times, in week qualifying, go over to the AM split. That's going on as well.
Indeed, and they actually, I believe they had 3 splits on the very first race. Oh, and Henderson with more problems. Not the first time he's been around. This is out of Stavelo, manages to get across the track safely and get it started again. Let's watch on the replay. That broke mid-corner on that one. Heard from one of the drivers pre-race, he felt like the limit was very soft with these cars, Bill, that it was hard to tell where the line was. You kind of crept up on it and you couldn't tell quite when it was happening.
Yeah, well, drivers of, as we're looking here at 18th position, drivers of who have challenge for skill, I can certainly relate to that. We're looking at Baker here being a check, but here's Cody Welker. Now, I think Welker came in probably, did Welker make a stop? That was Warner who stopped. I'm looking to see.
Welker, I'm not seeing any pit stops for Welker yet. Our highest pitter so far is Fleischle. I'm assuming on a 2-stop strategy.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that one, I think he came in for repairs really. Oh, where are you going? Baker, I just want to, I guess, get out of the way there and let Welker by.
Not interested in a fight.
Interesting line through La Source.
Yeah, that looked a little intentional to me. There was no locked brakes, just kind of went wide and was looking to get to the checkered flag, as I think a number of drivers are now focusing on that after their own mistakes.
David Baker having a good day, though. He is up 10 positions.
Not a bad job.
No.
Now, one thing we haven't touched on, Blake Reynolds, who continues to lead now at 14 seconds. He had his 4th win, the first time he repeated a win in a car so far this season. He could be looking at number 5 here today.
Yeah, if memory serves, he had a couple wins in the Gen 6 NASCAR, if I remember what I researched earlier.
Correct. He won at Charlotte and he won at Watkins Glen. So what's interesting about that, though, is one of the Gen 6 wins are on an oval and the other's on the road. Richie Hearn trying to climb back through. So it looks like he's made an overtake, and I think that was on a teammate, Michael Thompson.
Michael knows,
a while ago, I'm seeing.
Yeah, Michael knows he doesn't really have to worry. He just wait for Ricky to get to the bus stop, and he'll just pass him while he's in the grass.
No mercy, Bill. Ouch.
Oh, well.
So we come back live. And that pass, as you saw. And, oh, Brian Bennett in and out of the pits.
Yeah. That's a big name. Now, Bennett leading all the cars, I think, who have legitimately pitted other than Jason Fleischle.
No, are we sure that Fleischle's wasn't a scheduled stop?
Well, he's been out there. He's been out there for 16 laps, so that means he would have pitted on lap 11. Maybe really front of the window. Oh, that's right. There's 27 to go. That's right. So it would have been lap 2 or 3. That makes more sense.
Again, don't ask us to do math on GSRC. How about Brian Bennett and Claude Belval, though, and quite a fight. Bennett, of course, just exiting out of the pits on fresh tires compared to Belval. You can see all the grip that it affords him. Hutchison had a problem, though. Hutchison coming out of Fanyes all by himself. You're going to see on the replay. It's another case of the right foot being a little bit too heavy for the grip of the tires.
Good shot into the wall, too. Spun
him around. Clement has come in.
Clement was racing in 4th, so this is really the first guy who was really in the hunt for a podium coming in. Fast stop.
He's heading out now. Where's Jason Fleischle? Fleischle's going to be behind him, it looks like. Well behind him. So that now moves Trevor as our highest car to have done a scheduled stop.
What I don't understand, it'd be great if he came in for an interview. Why lap 19? I mean, I cannot do math, but I know that half of 44 is 22. Why now?
I mean, there's nothing that says the one-stop strategy has to be perfectly halfway.
Well, that just means that he's going to have older tires for, I guess he's going to have...
He will, but also remember he's burning fuel.
Okay, all right.
Car's much lighter, so...
All right, there you go. Good point, Joe. Next time I'll do lead, you do color.
We might do that next F1 race. I do watch a lot of F1, I will admit. Adam Young gaining a position over Wayne Hutchison right now. Moves himself up into 19th, which is where he started this race. Obviously lost a few positions at the start.
So Clement gets that done. He comes in and out and cycles out into 6th position.
Oh, Cody Welker misses the second apex, though, there. We saw on screen he was trying to make a pass on Wayne Hutchison, and it all went south. Another top driver coming in, Josh Wolf, looking for his pit stall. He was relatively close to Clement.
Yeah, Clement going through the bus stop right now. I think Clement's going to have him pretty easily here, although these are pretty fast stops.
Just like real F1 with no fuel changes, these stops tend to be done in about 3 seconds, usually less. And he is out well ahead of Clement.
Look at that.
Getting very close to the point where we should be seeing most drivers coming in, though.
Wouldn't be surprised as good as Blake Reynolds is he's able to no-stop this race. I mean, he's just that good that he can do stuff I don't understand.
F1 fans watching might be glad to know that they have no required pit stop in this series on iRacing. So if Blake can nurse those tires all the way to the end...
I'm pulling for that now.
Oh, I'd love to see that in F1. Personal opinion time. I want to see races where they can have a little bit more variety and strategy.
Reynolds' lead is 27 seconds over Brandon Chapel.
Of course, Chapel wasn't directly behind him. I believe it was Wolf who was in second, who's taken his first stop and is slotted back down into 5th. So that's a little bit bit misleading, that 30-second lead.
Yo, how about then, let's do that then. How about 40 seconds to Joshua Wolf?
Bill, do you have the cone-to-cone time that these drivers are getting typically?
I can do that for you. They're in their box about anywhere between 4.5 seconds, right around there. Cone-to-cone about 28.
So that should give us an idea of what kind of gap a driver needs. 8th place up for grabs, Jason Fleischle and Emile Carpentier. With a spun car on the inside, that's Brandon Trossel. And that was for position. Trossel was just ahead of them. And the Just Cause Racing driver discovered that the rear tires do not grip as much as you want when you get the foot all the way to the floor.
I'm not charting it here on my clipboard, but my goodness, what is that? 6, maybe 7 incidents we've seen bus stop related, either in the middle of it or coming out of it.
I would think we're up to a dozen at this point. He's continuing on in 10th. The more this race goes on, the more I feel credence is being paid to Adam Young's theory about just be clean, be smooth, and keep the car pointed forward, and you're going to start gaining spots. Our leader has now come into the pit. Gets down to the pit limiter. Should be out well ahead of Brandon Chapel, who's just now coming up to Blanchimont.
Yeah, what's frightening is Chapel hasn't pitted yet. That's, as a mid-pack back marker, that's discouraging when you see the leader come in, make the stop, and get out.
I don't think Chapel's really necessarily even mid-pack or back marker. I think he was close up to the front.
Yeah, that's...
Reynolds is out. And our other highest pitter is Josh Wolf, who's just coming out of the bus stop. And the time is going to tick down. We're going to get a better, clear idea of the gap. So after the first pit stops have finished, it's looking roughly 15 seconds. So since Josh Wolf started, he's lost about 3 more seconds to Blake Reynolds.
Oh, the big guys will come in. We're still waiting for Chapel to come in to bring that number 44 machine in. He's running in second right now.
We saw Michael Thompson exiting the pits. There's Chapel.
Adam Young announces he's finally going to come on in.
Works his way through Blanchimont up to the braking for the bus stop. Nice and clean to that first apex. Finding the pit entry. Making sure he's nice and tidy. Doesn't want to slam it into the walls. As we come back to Vavrovsky in 11th. Who's trying to hold off Brian Grandin at the moment. The 08 is hounding him.
Now looking to see who the big winner is. Richie Hearn is sitting in 5th position right now. As we look at here, we're looking at Grandin, this battle. Clement is in 4th, but he still has to make a stop. And Wolf is in 3rd.
No, Clement has taken his stop, I'm seeing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. Chapel has to. I knew that one of the guys up there, I got the... Chapel still needs to stop.
Yeah, he's the last one of the top drivers. Excuse me, last one of our top drivers who has not pitted.
Vavrovsky with the spin. Did that just happen? Yep, it sure did.
Just has not been the Grizzly Motorsports driver's day. The fact that he's still in 12th, I think this is spin number 3 that we've seen.
I don't think he's hit anything yet, so I guess he can hang his hat on that.
It was coming out of Stabilo. Yeah, it's amazing how far up he is considering the number of troubles he's had. Beltrami the Salami is coming in for his pit stop from 13th.
Beltrami was just ready to get into give a little run at Vavrovsky there. Now he has to pull off.
So it actually might be a smart move. If Vavrovsky could potentially be holding him up, say, might as well not lose time and come in here with 21 laps to go. Henderson now into to pit lane to look for his pit stall. Wayne Hutchison in a bit of a battle with Claude Belval as well. This is for 15th position. Hutchison's going to go the long way around up into Lacombe. Cleanly outbreaks him, but does he cleanly get to the apex? Wow. Quite a difference between those two machines. Hutchison made it look easy. Waiting for the last of our cars to come in for their stops. We'll go down the top 5 order. Grandin up there in 8th has yet to pit. And Chapel running that car as long as it'll go.
Well, with what I say there, about a 28-second bogey time to come in and out. I guess as long as he's putting in decent lap times and he's not having any trouble keeping the car on the track, I guess Brandon might as well. You got nobody around you, just stay out there until there's a problem.
And I think if he pitted now, that put him back in 5th or 6th, which isn't that far back. He qualified in 8th.
Well, let's give you an interval for him and see what he's doing. 7.6 seconds back to Joshua Wolf, who's already made the stop. So that time is starting to shrink. That interval's starting to come down.
See on lap 24 of 44 here at Spa-Francorchamps as we watch Clement continue on trying to chase down Josh Wolf. And a little bit ahead of Richie Hearn, about 10 to 11 seconds behind him. Hearn looked very strong at the start of this race, gained positions, was looking at a podium. Multiple mistakes, though, have set him backwards into 5th.
I imagine guys like Chappell and Grandin, who haven't stopped yet, would be saying, "Relax, Booth boys. We're only a couple laps past the halfway mark. It's not like we're running them for a long time." And here he comes down.
Obviously likes the idea of a bit of a shorter run on those fresher tires. I would guess, Bill, that probably depends on your comfort, being able to push the car to its limits. If you're good with running those hot laps, then of course maybe go long on the first one to really maximize what you can with fresher tires on and a lighter car than everybody around you.
Hearns gets by him. Clement gets by him.
And just about how I called it, out in 5th place. That's Hearn just ahead of Ray Partridge. So within the sights of Brandon Chappell. And there goes Grandin. I believe Brian Barnes, excuse me. Also seeing Lionel Callisto is yet to make a stop, but he's and Callisto is actually in right now, so there we go.
I haven't looked in on Brian Barnes yet, but it's always pleasant. Can we take a peek, see if he's in the fluorescent blue popsicle machine? Never
Always.
disappoints.
And he's going around for another lap. He's not stopping for the ice cream truck quite yet. However, we are going to go to a quick break. Your top 5 right now. Blake Reynolds leads by roughly 17 seconds over Josh Wolf. Trevor Clement rounds out the podium in the number 111 machine. Richie Hearn holding down 5th, trying to recover from a few mistakes. And then the top 5 finished out by Brandon Chappell. Don't go away. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps, home of round 11, the Belgian Grand Prix and the Pacific Majors. Right now, Blake Reynolds is your leader with 17 laps to go as he just completes another one. Josh Wolf has been trying to chase him down but hasn't had the pace to gain any ground. He sits in second. Trevor Clement rounds out your podium in the number 111. And then in the top 5, Richie Hearn has recovered back to 4th after earlier problems, with Brandon Chappell in the number 44 rounding out our top 5.
Oh, let's go to Emile Carpentier back in 11th position. He's our hard charger. He just spun it. As we're talking, he was coming up on the back of Trevor Borowski.
We're going to see on the replay, there's the tail end of it, yeah. If we go back a little bit farther, it looked like a little bit too much curb at the first apex to me. David Warner having similar problems.
Oh my goodness, Warner really hits hard in the Marlboro car.
Warner is still going, so is Carpentier.
Just to follow up on Emile, he's still our hard charger, up 12 spots.
Took me a few tries to get that name and just had to get back into 90s IndyCar mode.
It's so easy now that you said it. I feel kind of foolish.
Well, I was struggling too, don't worry. 11th position, not bad for a first time and in such difficult circumstances. We'll have to keep an eye on Emile, see how he fares in other cars if he comes back. Continues to race in the Pacific Majors. Meanwhile, Brandon Trossel just ahead of him, rounding out our top 10. Think we're going to be getting close here to drivers taking their last scheduled stop if they're on a 2-stopper here, Bill.
Looking for guys that have been out there for a while that might be looking to do it. Slavonic, although Slavonic has spun a lot. Rob Gall looks like he's ready to come in. Everyone else pretty much in the same ballpark here, within a lap or two of each other.
I'm seeing...
Bobrovsky maybe might have to come in.
I'm seeing Fleischle has made 2 stops at this point, though.
Yeah, Fleischle made that one on lap 3, though, so I'm not really sure what's going on with him. He's having considering he's done that, he's been out there for 6 laps. He's probably good to go from here. It's going to be a long last stint.
Exactly. He's going to be hoping that at least a couple drivers ahead of him come in for a second stop. Meanwhile, in 18th, Brian Barnes trying to fend off Travis Henderson.
This is beautiful. I want Brian to stay out there, baby. He has yet to make a stop.
Gonna try and do it old school style.
That's it. That's one frozen popsicle out there. So he's just about to get lapped. There's go our leaders around.
Oh, and look at this. Vavrovsky.
There you go.
Coming in for his second stop. That puts him down to 15th, though. He's able to continue on.
Now, he was behind Fleischle. That was I was going to see if he was going to be able to run down Fleischle. That's going to fall farther down. Talking about Jason running in 8th position and trying to go a long stint there. He's got 18 seconds between him and Brandon Trossel with 15 laps to go. Feeling pretty good if I were Jason right now.
Yeah, not quite a free pit stop, but he'll have much fresher tires.
Yeah.
Which means he could just simply run him back down. I mean, it would be, what, about a 6 to 7 second difference? He's got to do it now, though. He needs laps to try and regain the spots.
All this going on behind Blake Reynolds, who's out there by 16 seconds over Joshua Wolf.
Now, Wolf, we believe he stopped at a 2-stopper period.
Wolf's been out there for 10 laps right now.
Okay, so maybe
11
he's on a
for
1-stopper.
Clement. I think we're okay. Brian Bennett has been out there longer than, well, Slavonic's been out for 14 laps. Bennett if he was going to do a two-stopper, he would be coming in pretty soon. He's been out there for 12 laps.
Oh, Bennett making a mistake into La Source, though. And that's going to give him a slowdown penalty. Not what he wants. Looks like he just locked him up heading into the chicane and had to take to the runoff.
Joe, for as many incidents that we've seen, not a lot of car-to-car contact.
And Ray Partridge raising the ire of Claude Belval.
Boy.
Might want to get a replay from onboard Claude here. This is about 30 seconds ago, coming up through Eau Rouge. And here, watch this. Wow.
Oh, Ray asking him to lift a little bit.
Yeah, there's a bit of back and forth over the radio. Ray is being lapped by a number of cars currently.
Yeah. That's kind of on Ray's side there. So the car is not invisible. It has to take up space on the track.
Well, there's only a little lift needed through there, though. So I kind of understand where Claude's coming from as well. It's you're not expecting the car in front to lose that much time on entry.
See, that's the different point of view from somebody who has talent and somebody who doesn't. See? There you have it, folks.
Oh, if I have talented driving, I wouldn't be up here in the mic. Barnes finally decides that he needs some fresh tires. So that was 30 laps on those?
Yep.
Wow.
2/3 of a stint is what he did.
He's in 23rd right now. He's only a second behind Rob Gall and only 4 seconds behind David Warner, but it's a long ways up to the next car. So unfortunately, this strategy may only get him 2 positions.
Oh, yeah, Brian Bennett.
Wow. We're going to watch that replay. We might want to go to Brian Grandin after that because he had an issue with, I believe, Claude Belval. As we watch Bennett, coming out of Rivage. Doesn't hit anything, but narrowly avoids action. And there we see just the tail end of Belval and Grandin. We're going to watch it one more time. Coming through La Source, Belval gets on the power too quickly. And poor Grandin, just not expecting it, has nowhere to go.
See, that's the racing gods punishing you, Belval, for complaining about Partridge earlier. Racing gods are vengeful.
Are those the same racing gods that owed Takuma Sato an Indy 500?
They did. Those are the same exact gods, yes.
I'll make sure to put a sacrifice at the altar. But Bart Workman sitting in 11th right now. He's got Wayne Hutchison starting to put the pressure on, trying to crack into the top 10. As we ride on board Workman. Haven't seen a whole lot of him here today, Bill. Oh, way wide for Hutchison through the bus stop, and Lionel Callisto is a lap down, so he's not really racing.
And we talked about Workman up 10 spots, quietly having a great run.
Now, did we miss what happened to Callisto?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Why is he back there? I don't know why.
He did start in 11th. I wonder if maybe he got caught up in the fracas in the first corner.
Early on.
Claude Belval, after that damage from the incident, has elected to come in.
Probably get a freak. There you go. That's a fast repair right there. You wanted to know how that works?
The advantages of holding on to it until late in the race. Keeps him in this thing, and he's going to come back out in 18th. Not really missing much up at the front if you're a Blake Reynolds fan. He's now 20 seconds ahead of Josh Wolf.
trying to see if we have anybody running down anybody else. Richie Hearn is only about 2 seconds ahead of Brandon Chappelle. I think he might be able to get there. Actually, now it's down to 1 point. Yeah, it's close.
I have a feeling for Reynolds this is going to be something of an emotional win. Again, the ride and shotgun team, pretty much all Texas drivers. A win for him, especially after, as was mentioned, the lack of sleep that he's had with the bad weather in that area. This is going to be a big one.
As he has worked his way around Bob Beltrami now, that means only 14 cars on the lead lap. Brian Grandin looks to be safe, I think. No, I apologize. He's pretty darn close to getting lapped as well.
Of course, Grandin, another one of those drivers, had problems with Belval, who we saw get his free repair. Grandin probably dealing with some damage of his own. In fact, I'll be honest, Bill, I get the feeling at the end of this race it's going to look a little bit more like cars coming out of Bristol than it usually does F1 cars out of Spa.
A lot of talk about keeping it clean. And the best laid plans of, listen, we talked about Adam Young back there in 20th. It's been a quiet 20, and let's see, does he have, there might be a battle in front of it. Oh, that's a battle, no, that's third. Let's go to Clement real quick.
Clement, of course.
Clement, there we go. As he's going to try to get around David Baker. That's going to put Baker a lap down. And see if Adam Young can get on up there in this mix as well.
Our podium very much separated. 20 seconds between first and second, and 7 seconds between second and third. So far, despite all the spins, despite all the damage, we only have 3 retirees.
Joe, tell me the DRS only works if you're on the same lap, right? The guy's lapping.
No.
You don't get the. No, that doesn't seem fair.
Well, I mean, it can assist if someone's again.
I understand.
Well, one difference we do have here from F1 is that the blue flags are informational only. You are not forced to pull over like they do in the real world Formula One. So in this case, I could see it being very helpful if someone is not cooperating with you.
Let's look at 19th. This battle kind of this is a David Baker and Adam Young. Yes, they are both a lap down, but it's the closest battle I can find on the track for a position.
And for Young, this is just him attempting to get back into his starting position, which was 19th. He's currently sitting 20th, which you mentioned earlier. And wow, looking very strong on the brakes. Locks him up just a little bit, but doesn't lose time. This is where it's going to be important if he can get to the power, and you can see they start to stretch apart once more.
2 different race stories here. As you talked about, Adam Young started 19th and 20th. Baker, look at that. We've seen that move before from him. That's Baker. He just gets out of the way.
He got on the radio. He let him know that he wanted to let him through.
So based on that, you would think that Baker was probably not having a good day, right? But no, he's up 10 spots.
Meanwhile, Trossel sitting in the 10th position. Looks like we got a replay of an incident here coming out of Fanyes.
Ooh. Yeah, it looks like the nose. Left side got in there.
Just very slight contact. Almost caught it. Look at this. Starts to come around and corrects it, and just, unfortunately, these cars grip in an instant.
All right, 10 laps. Yeah, and he's around one more time in the bus stop. Just in front of Workman. That's a battle for position.
Oh, behind them, that was Vavrovsky. Did he touch the wall there? Somehow he did not. That was actually a miraculous catch. If we could ride on board after we watch this battle with Workman. This is for position. And it looks like Workman is going to give it up on the way through Eau Rouge. Could have some DRS, though, so this might not be over. Nobody's not close enough, it looks like.
Yeah, and we're going to the replay. Trussell is naturally faster. He's only back there in that battle because of the spin. Let's see what our director has for us
This is the onboard for Vrosky that we're going to get. This is incredibly close. This car just snapped back into place at the last second. Watch this. Rear goes out and then saves it. Grizzly Motorsports driver probably thanking his lucky stars. Michael Thompson is going to have to wonder how long he can hold off his sort of teammate. Different classes of Alliance Racing. There's the Alliance Team and Alliance Evolution. Right now it's... Oh, excuse me. Thompson is Elite West. My apologies.
Well, what I think he's going to be is in 7th position here pretty soon because Jason is a-coming. Oh, my.
You can see him gain ground. That DRS helped him a little bit up to Lacombe, but wasn't close enough. Might have to wait a little patiently unless he really is able to sneak something crazy in through the rest of this lap. A mistake from Thompson could facilitate that as now they come through no name.
Feisty qualified in for was girded in 3rd position, so certainly has the pace. Had that trouble in lap 1. Been fighting back ever since.
Fleischle was our Mario Andretti's Drivers' Championship winner last season, current reigning champion. And it's not looking likely that he's going to retain the crown, although he's had a few good races today. I don't think will be counted among them in his consideration as we look back, and this is a very good run. This is no DRS here. This is all just with the draft. How brave is he? Backs off before they go through Blanchimont. Holds on to him, coming through that high-speed corner. Going to have to look to the outside as Thompson. Does he outbrake himself, though, into the bus stop? No. Nice and clean to both apexes, but coming off the corner. That's the critical one. And there goes Fleischle with much better grip. Give that 6th spot to the 77.
You see, Thompson took that defensive line in, and you don't really pay the price until you get that final left-hander coming out, and he had no speed off of there, Fleischle. Moving him up into 6th. What a recovery.
Nicely done indeed. Martin Workman also under threat for that 12th spot. Wayne Hutchison trying to battle with him. In the same spot that we just witnessed, that car behind them, Callisto, is not for position. He's trying to get his laps back. Hutchison, though, a little bit too far back to go on the attack of Workman. You can see Callisto trying not to get in the midst of things, but still trying to make up as much time as he can as he slips to the inside. Blocks him up a little bit through LaSource, but no harm done.
Blake Reynolds out in front of you. Haven't been watching the ticker down there. 24 seconds over Joshua Wolf.
7 laps to go. Down to the dying stages. It's going to take a major incident for Blake Reynolds to give this one up. It is his race to lose from here on out. We still have 13 cars on the lead lap. Wayne Hutchison is the last of those. He's right in front of us right now as we ride on board with Reynolds. He's going to dutifully pull over, and I think the lift ought to do it. There he goes. Make that 12 cars on the lead lap.
And those 12 just ahead of them in 10th and 11th is Trossel and Vrosky. Now, I can't tell you who's faster and who's slower. I know that Vrosky has spent a ton of time going in the wrong direction. Trossel, too, for a matter.
I was just going to say.
Both of these guys.
Could make for an interesting battle if things get heated between them. do enjoy this Rapid Fire Motorsports paint scheme. As look at Bobrovsky start to close in. Getting up behind, taking a little bit of peek to the right side, but not a serious attempt at the spot. Bobrovsky trying to get back into the top 10. Bobrovsky did grid 13th, so somehow, in all the mistakes, he's actually still gained positions. And the DRS is going to be open. You can see that green light on the left side, indicating that it is on. Easy peasy around the outside, outbreaks him down to the apex, into Lecoombs. Give 10 to the number 30.
Well, enjoy it while it lasts. Bart Workman just went a lap down, and right behind those two drivers is Reynolds. And with Reynolds doesn't know the kind of race that Trossel and Bobrovsky have had, but he doesn't realize he's coming up. He's coming up on something that could be very interesting here.
Well, he's got a little ways to go before he catches them. Not sure if this battle is going to continue or not, but Trossel is in DRS zone at this point. Holding on nice and tidy as they come through Stavilo. Onto the backstretch up towards Blanchimont. I don't think he's close enough to reel him in here, but if he stays tight behind him, up through the left-hander of Blanchimont, could get a chance into the bus stop. Doesn't lose a whole lot of time, but he looks to be a little bit too far back. Here comes Blake, though.
Well, look at the drive that Bobrovsky got. Did Trossel get a slowdown penalty? Man, he lost a ton of time out of the bus stop.
I didn't see anything of him losing that. Now, with all these spins, something we haven't talked about, Bill, those spins are 2 incident points. So 27, you get 13 spins. So I don't think we've had anybody who's hit that many.
Remember, the incident cap, while it's in effect, it's not actually on right now, so he's not blinking away. We have to assume that Bobrovsky and Trossel are under the cap.
Now, we had word from the stewards before the race that if the drivers do continue on with having more than the 27 incidents and they cause...
Bobrovsky.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Reynolds just got around Trossel.
Yes, we saw that on screen, and if the drivers do go over the incident limit and they continue on track and cause an incident with another car, there will be severe penalties, was the wording, for getting involved in that when they should have been off the track.
Kind of threatening.
Well, I think it's fair. It's they're going on the honor system, and if you don't honor the honor system, then...
Okay. Severe is so ambiguous. I mean,
I don't think they're going to take it lightly.
No, okay, I get it.
Now down to 5 laps to go. 5th place, Brandon Chappell. Hasn't been the cleanest race for the number 44 of Elite West. Another one's looking to have a pretty decent showing. Richie Hearn just ahead of him in 4th, also his teammate. 4th and 5th will help them out quite a bit in the championship teams hunt.
I think a lot of drivers are going to be happy to get this one behind them.
This is pretty consistent with what we've seen on their F1 races. They've held a couple with the FW31, the Williams. And as I said, this is their second in the McLaren MP430. In all the cases, a number of drivers did have difficulty making it to the end, and difficulty simply keeping the car pointed forward. There's a reason these cars are considered the top flight, as Brian Grannon actually nearly gets into the back of Wayne Hutchison. This is a fight for position. Nearly chopped his wing off as we come to the battle now. Let's look at the replay. Riding on the nose. Wow. Couldn't have fit a piece of paper between them. Holds on to the back of Hutchison.
And I can report that Matthew Thunhurst, I think he spun in the, this is a while ago, we don't need to get a replay, he spun in the bus stop, got the car kind of stuck on a curbing and had to blink away.
High centered it?
Yeah.
Oof. That's got to be frustrating.
He was running farther back, but... Well, let's take a look at it here. I think we have...
All right. Not his brightest moment, I'm sure, but we'll see if we've got it or not.
Yeah. We'll see. Let's see if we can find it. It happens after the spin. If we stay on it here for a minute, maybe Joe, you can tell me what's going on. He gets over there by the wall, and I think he gets on the curbing and then loops it around.
Gets it going.
Oh, and I guess maybe he came too close to the wall, maybe, and got stuck there.
Yeah, was not aware of the limits of his car. When we go back live, let's go to Hutchison, though, because still, once again, under attack, Grandin, this time with DRS wide open, ducks to the inside, down towards the braking as he takes the racing line into Lacombe. Now he's got it done. Grandin in a 13th position.
We'll take a look at that one.
Watch that one more time. You can see that green light comes on. Easy peasy to the inside.
And when we come back, we can go to Bobrovsky. Just had another spin. My gosh.
We're going to watch the replay. This is down into Puhan that it happens. Here he is through No Name Corner, the corner before. And it looks like the rear just breaks out on him. Maybe he just glances the curb. Didn't think it was that much, but could have been enough to send him around. And just noses it, edges it back into the wall.
What's his incident count right now? What it does do is drops him back into the clutches of Grandin that we just saw for 13th.
Yeah, unfortunately puts him in 12th. After all the hard work he had done earlier for the pass. Now down to 2 laps to go here. I agree with you, your earlier sentiment, Bill. I think there's a lot of drivers that are just wanting to see the end of this race.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to your wife's sister's wedding. It's something you know you got to do and you're obligated to do it, but you're not looking forward to it.
There's champagne at both, right?
That's true.
Bart Workman in 13th. Just behind Grandin, just behind Bobrovsky, all about it. It's the same 1 second gap apart. This battle might need a little bit of mistake from one of the drivers to come closer together. You can see the distance between them. That is what 1 second looks like in an F1 car here at Spa. Such is the difference in speed.
And actually, yeah, it's fooled me several times as I see an interval of when we're looking for a battle of, oh, here's a 2 second battle, but it's miles. It's not even close.
White flag will be coming out for Blake Reynolds as he comes to the bus stop. And a reminder, this start-finish line comes up right about here. And now starts the final lap. Around La Source, Blake Reynolds with 4 wins on his tally in 3 different cars is going to make it 5 wins in 4 different cars in this season alone. He may not be leading the championship points right now, but the way he's been racing, he's got 7. He weaves back and forth celebrating. He knows he's got a 31-second lead. 4 wins in 7 starts, Bill. That is incredible. Oh, and Clement Clement, who is in second place, is off. Loses a couple spots. This was into the bus stop.
He loses
Richie-
a spot to Hearn and Chappell.
And he was in third place, excuse me.
Yeah.
But that still loses him 2 spots down to 5th.
Got to be kicking himself.
Frustrating stuff as we come back to the ride and shotgun driver leading the race through Fanyes. But Bill, this strike record.
Yeah.
Rhino Callisto is leading with 10 starts, but it's, like I said, 4 wins and 7 starts. That's amazing in a series like this.
And many of the wins have been like this one, just pastings, just dominant all the way through.
He crushed them at Watkins Glen,
Yeah.
an old F1 track. And he's going to crush them in a new F1 car as he slides it off the final corner, putting some flair on it. And Blake Reynolds wins at Spa. The distance between himself and second place, Josh Wolf hasn't hit Blanchimont yet. But how about Josh Wolf? He caused a little bit of tempers at Watkins Glen. Today, I'd say this was an incredibly clean race from the Grizzly Motorsports driver. This was a bit of redemption to me. He's going to be on the podium, gets himself a nice haul of points. Josh Wolf in second. And Richie Hearn started out in 6th, got himself up onto the podium at the start, slipped backwards, a little bit of luck help, but how about the number 70 rounding out our podium today? His teammate Chappelle behind him coming home in 4th. Clement, oh, the mistakes all making you wonder what could have been. Jason Fleischle started in 3rd and slips back. In the end, he's going to finish in 6th. Michael Thompson in 7th behind him. Brian Bennett bringing home 8th. How about Emile Carpentier? Oh no! As I just mentioned him, he goes off track.
Just
He is
got to get
last car
across
in
the
lead.
line.
Yeah. He's still going to take a top 10 today. Last car in the lead lap. And I think he's having fun at this point. Oh, or has he got a damaged car, actually? Oh, that might be a damaged car, actually. Well, we're not going to, unfortunately, we don't really
assume
have...
he makes it, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to get home. So with that, we're going to go to break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. On screen, we'll have all the upcoming races. After that, we'll have the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Don't go away. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. Round 11 here of the Pacific Majors just took place, the Grand Prix of Belgium. And in the end, Blake Reynolds took home win number 5. Impressive stuff for a driver whose main car is on the oval side, but a good driver is a good driver. Josh Wolf also proving that too. We first came to know through oval racing, shows that he's pretty good turning left and right. He finishes second today, although quite a ways back from Reynolds. Richie Hearn works his way back up onto the podium after a few troubles sent him backwards. And then Brandon Chappell comes home behind him in fourth. Trevor Clement, unfortunately, taking a fifth instead of what would have been a third if he had not made a mistake close to the end. Jason Fleischle as well with trouble on lap 1, had to climb back up the order, finishes in 6th. Michael Thompson behind him in 7th, with Brian Bennett finishing in 8th. Then you've got Emile Carpentier coming home 9th, the last car on the lead lap. And then finally, you have Brandon Trossel rounding out the top 10.
The next 10 cars, all one lap down, starting up in 11th position. Trevor Borowski, Brian Grandin right behind him. Bart Workman, Wayne Hutchinson go 13th and 14th. 15th position goes to Bob Beltrami. All ribbons and curls in the 16th spot, Travis Henderson. Claude Belval in 17th, 18th, and 19th to David Warner and Adam Young. Young started in 19th, finishes in that same position, and then a good run up 10 spots for David Baker.
Behind him, drivers who started to have more troubles. Rob Gall finishing 21st, Brian Barnes 22nd. Ray Partridge was 23rd, 2 laps down. Paul Slavonic finishes in 24th, 5 laps down. Matthew Thunhorst retires in 25th position. Lionel Calisto comes home in 26th, also 8 laps down. Cody Welker in 27th. And then in 28th, it's Mark Herzog, Mitchell Cornett being our first retiree in 29th position. First up, though, we're going to talk to our winner, Blake Reynolds, who takes, as I said, the 5th win in our 11 races so far this season. This is an incredible stat that he's racking up. And Blake, the first question I have to ask, as a Texas driver, is this a little bit of a special one for you today?
Sure is. I mean, to overcome what I've had to overcome this past pretty much 3 days. Man, the flooding got really bad here. I'm in Northwest Houston. It's better than downtown, but it still got pretty bad here. It's lucky that I was here to be able to race. Got a good break in the storms. No rain. There was some rain. I looked out the window there, the pit stop, but very lucky to have survived this one through technical survival, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I guess it wouldn't be Spa without at least a little bit of rain. Now, I understand that you're a pro over on the oval side. Coming over here to race the F1 car, does that pro experience help you at all trying to translate to what is considered the top-end car here in iRacing for the road stuff?
I mean, this is completely different. I put in a bit more laps than I usually would. I tend to not put in too much practice just because I have other commitments, but this race was special just because I knew because of the flooding I didn't know if I would have power, internet, stuff like that. I was about to pack up my sim gear too, but yeah, I was just trying to get the laps in and yeah, just try to yeah.
Yeah,
Blake,
I understand.
Blake, let me ask you, this could be a stupid question, and tell me I'm crazy, but is there any chance with you won by 30 seconds? Is there any chance that you think you could have got a win and no stop this, or is that just undoable?
Well, considering the tires, let me look here. I'm still in the sim. The tires at the pit stop I did on lap 21 were right front was at 55, so I'm not sure it would have lasted that long. And the lighter fuel load at the end made the tires a bit more bearable, but from that 15 to 20 got really bad.
Well, congratulations, man. It was a impressive performance.
Mm-hmm. Well, real quick, I gotta talk about this. So I got a big thanks to Adam Young. So Patrick Taylor and Tony Lamberti with the amount of laps that Ryan Shotgun completed tonight, which was 87, Adam was down a lap, so not 88. So $87 to both Patrick Taylor and Tony Lamberti. We'll be donating to them just to help them out because with their struggles. Yep. And also, big thanks to Clark Archer. He couldn't be here. He got flooded in and was just too stressed about it. He couldn't be here, and he probably would have beat me tonight, honestly. He put in so many laps. He put in about 450 laps. It was amazing. And also, Mike Taylor couldn't be here either from riding shotgun.
Well, you made up for it with a win. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Joe, it never ceases to amaze me, not just what iRacing is all about, but the sense of community and camaraderie in private leagues. It's something else.
It really is. These guys do become very close friends with one another a lot of times. It's a close-knit community. We also have second place Josh Wolf, who hopefully has got himself back a little bit into the good graces of the community with what was an incredibly clean and impressive race here to the podium. Josh, I have to feel like you got to be a bit proud of that one.
Yeah, it was. I've been doing a lot of research on driving this car, and definitely paid off tonight. And had a blast doing it. Kind of wish I got around Trevor a little earlier. Thought maybe I could have a shot if I was closer to Blake, but I don't think that was ever really going to happen too much. He was definitely a lot faster than I was.
Joshua, you happy to get this one behind you? It had to be something you weren't really looking forward to.
I don't know if I'm happy to get this behind me. I definitely, coming into the race, I was kind of looking forward to it. I was showing a lot of pretty good pace all week, and just did a lot of work on this, and it felt car was pretty good, just a little bit sketchy, like Blake was saying, on old tires. So I don't know, it was a lot of fun. I'm sure my teammates are probably ready to go on to the next race, but
yeah, let me tell you, out of three of you came out clearly the best. Borowski and Henderson, they were struggling.
Yeah, Travis and I tend to do a lot of work, and Trevor might depend on the weekend, but they were struggling. I know both of them were fighting incidents towards the end of the race and weren't able to really try and push up. So, yeah, I definitely enjoyed it, though.
Well, second place will help Grizzly in the points, so congratulations, Good luck, and let's get you back into something you're a little more comfortable in.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to the next race. I love Darlington.
All right, man. Good luck. We'll see you down the road. Yep. Joshua Wolf, our second place finisher today.
A little bit more of his bailiwick over in the Gen 6 on an oval. Third place went to Richie Hearn today, who certainly had to make up for a few problems into the bus stop. Richie, it seemed like that first apex in the bus stop and you just did not agree with one another.
Yeah, well, I clipped that curb on the inside, and the second time I was just I thought my teammate was spinning, so I kind of yanked it over, and yeah, it cost me about 16 seconds, but you know what? That car is pretty difficult to drive, so it didn't really cost me the race, so I'm happy with that.
Talk to us about the start as well. You gridded in 6th, and I believe by the end of, it was either lap 2 or 3, you were up on the podium. Did you focus a lot on trying to get a race set up in this car so that you could think long-term?
Yeah, I probably did about 700 laps of practice on my own. I probably did about 5 full race runs and practiced a lot of starts and like how fast to go into that first corner. And, you know, fortunately, Fleshy spun out on that first turn, and I got by. I can't remember who I got by, but he got by me. But actually, the track was had a lot more understeer than I practiced with, so I was struggling on full tanks there a little bit, and I was just trying to make them last long enough so I could just do a one-stop race.
Richie, it's Soup here. How much difference is it for you to drive this? More difficult is it than like the Dallara on a road course? Is it that much of a difference for you?
Yeah, it's a lot different. It's definitely a lot more sensitive to the fuel in the car, and it's obviously got a lot more torque. So you got to be careful when you use the ERS and stuff like that. But it definitely reacts and stops a lot quicker. So it's just you got to be a little bit more on your toes. Your margin for error is a little bit smaller.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. It seems like your real-world experience, you came into real-world IndyCar was with the IRL. Did they get to road racing when you were still racing with them?
Yeah, well, I actually ran the IRL in 96, and then I switched over to kart. I ran in kart 96, 97, 98, and 99. So I ran the whole kart.
So you were over doing the twisty courses.
Yeah, and that's honestly what I grew up on. I didn't do my first oval race till I was like in my 20s, so I was mostly a road course guy.
Well, good job on a podium today. Moving up in the points, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to say thanks to Mike running the series. That was a pretty good race, and my teammates, BC, Brandon Chappell, and Mike Thompson and Brian Grandin. All with our team, and we'll see you next time.
All right, good luck. We'll see you down the road. Richie Hearn, third place finisher. Joe?
Yeah, speaking of Brandon Chappell, finishing right behind him, just off the podium in fourth. So unfortunately, doesn't get to taste the champagne unless Richie is willing to share. But Brandon, you went from 8th to 4th, so that's not a bad thing.
No, not at all. The old man got me today.
How did setup go with you guys' team? Was there a lot of sharing going on, or is everybody kind of working on their own? Is this a car that tends to work better with everybody suiting it to themselves personally?
I actually went with a little bit different setup than the guys. I used the same base setup, but I dialed in a little bit more downforce. Just because I wanted to be able to push towards the end of the race there. And I just wanted to be comfortable and not have the car sliding as much, which I think was maybe the wrong thing to do in hindsight. But, it was a comfortable race for me.
Two-part question for you. Did you like running the McLaren MP430? And if you would like to see it back, what would your choice of combination of track be for this car next season?
Man, that's a tough question. First of all, I love the this MP. Well, whatever. I'm sorry, I forgot the designation.
You can call it McLaren.
Yeah, I love the McLaren. Actually, there's a lot of fun managing the systems throughout the race. It's a lot to think about. So I like that challenge. I love Spa. I mean, I absolutely love Spa. I would maybe say Suzuka, possibly. That's another fun track too. So that would be my recommendation.
Oh, that I would be up for calling a race there. I don't know about you, Bill, but Brandon, congratulations on a 4th place. This should definitely help you in the championship.
Thanks, guys.
It's Brandon Chappell finishing 4th today, and
I'm down for Suzuka. Yeah, I think that would be a great show.
I have to disagree with our director. He wants F1 at Bristol. I don't think the series needs to go that far.
Negative. No.
With that, we're going to close up today. And of course, we want to thank Mike Willett as well, the organizer of this series, puts in a lot of thankless hours behind the scenes, along with a great team of people. It's not just himself. A number of people do help him. And thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Amjad, Bill, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. The next race, as was mentioned, they're going back to the Gen 6 Cup cars, this time at Darlington. That'll be Sunday, September 24th at 7:45 p.m. Eastern. You got a month break for these guys to recover from what I'm sure was a very draining F1 race. And then they get back into another stressful car. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.